Hi there, welcome to my local reserve on this misty morning. So as you can see behind me, it's fairly misty still this morning. It's about 9 o'clock and I've come here with my wildlife hat on. So I've got my long lens with me. Now it's going to be difficult spotting any wildlife just at the moment, and there doesn't appear to be an awful lot of birds on the lake anyway. But I have got my other lens with me in case I spot any good landscapes. So I'll keep an eye out for those while the mist is still about. But I'll have a nice walk around the lake anyway, and I know that I'm really going to enjoy my photography. I've put on my 20 to 124mm lens to try a little bit of landscape at the moment because there's not many birds about on the side of the lake. I'm taking a shot down the side of the lake towards the sun. Now it's always a little bit risky taking pictures straight into the sun because you risk lens flare and you also risk creating a really bright spot that is going to be distracting. So to give me all possibilities, what I've done is I've taken a series of bracketed shots. Now what that means is I've taken different exposures. So I've exposed for the sun and then increase the exposure so I get the bank as well with details, and then I'll combine them when I get back in the computer. I've got a piece of software called Aurora HDR, and that combines all the exposures and does a really lovely job, and I'll create an HDR photograph that should have a full range of tones. That's the idea anyway. See how it goes. I'm going to move on from this location because there's not many birds. I can hear some about in the trees, but there's still quite a lot of leaf canopy on at the moment, so I'm not going to see much from here. So I'll have a wander around the lake, just keeping my eyes open for either landscape or wildlife opportunities. Finding at the moment that the only shots that I can really take that seem effective are landscape shots. For this shot behind me here, I've taken quite wide, and it's not quite into the sun because the sun has been placed behind this tree here, so it's not quite as bright in the shot, but it puts the tree into silhouette, and I'm just picking up some of the trees on the opposite side of the bank, and so it creates quite an ethereal kind of shot. I don't think it's particularly spectacular, but at the moment I'm really struggling to take any photographs of the ducks that are on the pond because the fog is just making them really soft, and with a wildlife shot it doesn't really work in my opinion. They just seem a little bit too hazy. A wildlife shot needs to be a little bit more clear, unless there was something in the background that really made it stand out as a pictorial shot. It's just not working at the moment. The fog is starting to burn off ever so slightly. As you can possibly tell from behind me, we're starting to see a little bit more colour in the trees along the side of the bank, which just indicates that the fog is thinning out. And so I might stand a little bit better chance of getting some wildlife shots. But while we're in this kind of state of in between fog and no fog, I'm going to keep an eye out for some landscape shots as well. Now just behind me here is a shot that I've been trying to take, and it felt like it was lacking an element. So what I decided to do was to throw a stone into the water to create some ripples. This idea is not guaranteed to look good until I get it into the computer. I'm not sure whether it even will. And it took a few goes just to get the splash in the right place and the right size stone to create the right kind of splash. But what I did eventually is I found the right spot, but I set the camera on a high frame rate so it was taking lots of shots so I can pick the best splash during the moment where the stone went into the water. But that's all assuming that it even looks good, but I'll let you decide. What I've done is I've come down to the side of the lake and I've put down a plastic bag that I always carry in this kind of situation because it's really useful if you need to sit down, because crouching would kill my knees, and you've often probably heard me talk about how bad my knees get, and so this allows me to just sit and take a little bit of time waiting for something to happen. Now, while I've been sat here, I've seen lots of really interesting opportunities. Now, I think most of them are going to be more pictorial than really stunning wildlife shots, but that just makes the whole thing more interesting. I got a group of 3 mallard ducks that formed a nice line. I also got a lone black-headed gull. Now, I've taken this in 2 different ways. I've taken it completely blank with the mist in the background, and then there is an overhanging tree just here, and I've used that to frame the black-headed gull. So I had to rise and lower the camera just to get the gull in the right place so it was framed by the top of the trees. But then I also use this tree as well to act as a frame at the top of the image for some gulls that are further out on the lake. Now again, for that, what I did is I tried to align the overhanging tree with the tree line on the far end of the shore so that the branches fit together and didn't overlap. But I moved the camera around until I found a place where the overhanging tree sort of matched the background, and we'll see how those work. On a day like today, it's really important to have an open mind and be adaptable and just try different things. You can't expect to get your normal style of photography. Different things appear and you have to make the most of them. And the light is constantly changing. As this mist starts to burn off, I'm starting to see further and more details. And so things just appear in my mind that think, oh, that might be a good idea. Now, it might be a little bit corny and it might not even work, but unless you give it a go, then you don't know what kind of results you're going to get. So you do need that open-mindedness to just be a little bit creative. It doesn't matter if it goes wrong, really. At the end of the day, there's always a delete button, or nobody needs to see it unless you've got a YouTube channel. I've had a lovely time sitting here and I've seen quite a few interesting things, but I think now it's time to move on, see if I can find something somewhere else. I've just stood for a while on the side of this tree because when I came into this bit of wood, I heard a robin. Now I heard it way before I saw it, and then I did see it and it flew off. So I thought I'd wait for a little while in case it came back. Now it did come back and land in a really nice place. Unfortunately, it was right in front of the sun, so it was backlit, so I don't know how good it would be and how well I've hit the focus, but it landed on a branch right above a cobweb. So I managed to get a shot of that. So if I can work some magic in Photoshop, that might have a chance of being a reasonable photograph. But at this point, I can't really tell. So I'll show you now how that turned out. We've not really got ideal conditions today for wildlife photography because there's lots of people about. It's a place where people regularly come and walk the dogs, and there are some maintenance workers. I think they're doing some kind of construction on the pathways around the place, and so there's lots of noise and activity, but there is still wildlife to be seen. So it just goes to show that even if you don't have a really elaborate reserve to go to, just your local park will be good enough to give you some opportunities for taking photographs of wildlife. I've just got to this little clearing, and as I arrived there was a wren bobbing about, but unfortunately by the time I got the camera set up it's disappeared. Now I have waited for about 10 minutes and it's not appeared again, so I'm just debating now whether to wait a little bit longer or just move on, and I think I might move on. Well, that's about it for this morning. What I'll do now is I'll leave you with some of my favourite photographs. So I think in today's video I've shown that whatever the conditions or location, as long as you're a little bit creative and think outside the box, you can still find something to photograph. Yes, I've not got any stunning wildlife photographs this morning, but what I've done is I've used the conditions to create something pictorial. Now, I've really enjoyed myself trying to think of something a little bit different, and it's been absolutely lovely this morning wandering around this lake in this lovely autumnal misty condition. If you have enjoyed today's video, do let me know down below in the comments, or nip over to my Vero account, that's at Darrell Oakden Photography. You can leave me a comment there, and you can also see some of my photographs. Now, if you want to help support me to make future content like this, then you can also visit my Teespring store, because there I've got a range of merchandise on offer, and a purchase really does help me to carry on making content like I've made today. But you don't have to spend any money at all to support the channel. You can do that simply by clicking like, subscribe, and the bell notifications, because that really helps me out and it makes sure that you don't miss out on any future content. Watch out for next week's video, that goes live on Sunday. In the meantime, you can go and check out this video just up here. But all that's left now is to say, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.